Trae. Come on, it's the day with Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
Trae.
Come on, come on.
With Trae.
Pump it up, pump it up.
It's the day with Trae.
This is the day to gain inspiration, to make a positive change in the nation. We're inviting you to partake in conversation, to raise your vibration. It's the day that we will all celebrate all of our peaks that make this thing elevate. Watch the negative fade away, cause it's the day with Trae.
Grand Rising, everyone. Welcome to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I get to start my week off with you and welcome you to a magnificent Monday. Really excited for my guest in the building today. We got Dr. Sabine Thomas, the Executive Director of JSOL Studios. We're going to be learning all about their Anchoring Our Roots program, where they're providing amazing resources to child care providers. So I'm really excited that she is joining me in the building, but I'm also excited that you are joining me at the top of the week right here. You know, this is also the top of the show, right? So this is the time where you get to join me for real and share this show with others who you feel could benefit from the daily dose of dopeness we work to give you here on the Day with Trae. And if you can't watch this TV show we are bringing to you, you can always listen to us as well. Anywhere you find your favorite podcast, just search Converge Media Network and the Day with Trae. You'll find me right there. All right. Well, before I get into it with Dr. Sabine Thomas, I get to tell y'all something. When we talk about caregivers, child care providers, the kind of work that JSOL Studios is doing is so necessary. I grew up in a home where it was me, my mother, my grandmother, and my two cousins who my grandmother was raising. So for me, I grew up with them like sisters, and this was before I had any siblings. So it was such a special time in my life when I think about that intergenerational vibe that we had going on of 3 generations of women and young girls living all in the same household. You know, I didn't know the difference between having, cousins who were that close to me or cousins who didn't live in the same household as me because we were always together. The ideas of people stepping up, particularly in families or for folks who are not even of their blood family, but chosen families, is so key to how we are bringing amazing adults into this world. Showcasing them a great example of how to be and how to move and the kind of actions you want to take is something that, for me, I'm always talking about takes a village. So I want to thank all of the folks out there who are stepping up to raise children that you did not birth, but it's important that they have a solid example of how to be an adult in this world. I told my kids when they were younger, y'all only going to be kids for so long. You're adults for the most part of your life. If you get the chance to live long enough, you're going to be an adult more than you're going to be a child, longer than you're going to be a child. So what I get to do is exemplify to you what it looks like to adult, right? We talk about adulting, and it's real. Now my son is 18, about to be 19 next month, y'all. And I promise you that the conversation we just had is all about, now, how are you showcasing yourself as an adult to be an example for his son, my grandbaby, Zahir, right? So this is a continual thing that we have to always keep in mind. And I'm just grateful that not only resources exist, but the people exist. Those who step up to raise children. It is such a vital job, but it is full of love, care, concern, and overall wellness for that young person in your life. So thank you to all of you who have stepped up to the plate when your family needed it, when another family needed you, all of the foster parents out there, all of those who are stepping up. I thank you so much. And I'm excited because after this short break, Dr. Sabine Thomas is going to be telling us all about this amazing program where resources are available for childcare providers who are stepping up. You definitely don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
A world of wonder awaits at Pacific Northwest Ballet's The Nutcracker. Treat your loved ones to the Northwest's favorite holiday tradition at Seattle Center's McCall Hall. Visit pnb.org.
Confused about Medicare? Solid Ground's statewide health insurance benefits advisor, Sheba, are well-trained volunteers who can help you understand your Medicare rights and options. It's free, unbiased, and confidential. We offer webinars and individual phone consultations. For more info, go to solid-ground.org/Medicare-info.
Hi there, Manny Santiago from Washington Health Benefit Exchange. We're excited to help everyone enroll in health and dental insurance plans for 2025, regardless of immigration status. Open enrollment is happening right now, November 1st through January 15th, so it's the perfect time to find a plan that fits your needs and budget. Trusted resources in your community are available in person, over the phone, and online to compare health and dental insurance plans from the brands you know and find savings only available at wahealthplanfinder.org to lower your monthly insurance costs. Visit our website at wahealthplanfinder.org or call us at 855-923-4633.
Disney and Cameron Mackintosh's Mary Poppins comes to life on stage at the Fifth Avenue Theatre, featuring Step in Time and Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Make it a jolly holiday at Mary Poppins. For tickets, visit fifthavenue.org.
Welcome back, y'all, to the Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. Joining me right now is my guest, Dr. Sabine Thomas. Hi.
Hello, and thank you so much for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
So you're the Executive Director of JSOL Studios. Tell us a bit about what got you into this position.
Oh my goodness. By training, I am a naturopathic physician, and I am really focused and interested, particularly since I've become a mom 10 years ago, in the parent-child relationship. We are a multi-generational household. And so when JSOL Studios was created, we really focus on the parent-child relationship. We focus on nurturing the family, natured, embodied wellness, focus on ancestral wisdom. This was the foundation. We had an opportunity to focus on the parent-child relationship, nature, and of course, by virtue of my training, wellness.
Wow. I mean, it's bringing together so many things that, it's great because a lot of folks are trying to figure out, well, how do I get away maybe from just Western medicine practices that are not really geared towards solving the solution. Oftentimes it's like treating the symptoms. And a lot of folks are waking up to this and understanding that a lot of the ancient practices involved more natural styles of wellness. So this is beautiful because to bring all of that together is important. How did you figure that there was a need when we talk about the wellness of the parent-child relationship?
Well, I'm going to start with my introduction to infant and early childhood mental health, a field that appears to be new, not necessarily. It's what we've learned about brain development, what we've learned about attachment, what we've learned about the importance of having just one secured attachment with a caregiver. And that caregiver can be a parent. You've mentioned caregiver can be a family member. It can be a family, friend, or neighbor, FFN, right? It can be an auntie and uncle. One secured attachment that really anchors that connection between the parent and the child. And this is not necessarily, as you can imagine, something that I may have necessarily encountered in my medical training, but certainly as I've become a mother, certainly as I've become a little bit more connected with, as well, my roots, my cultural roots, I was really interested in what does it look like for us to be able to display that connection? What does it look like to be able to hold that space, that anchor, that receptacle where there is some safety for our little ones? Now, we are focusing on our kiddos prenatal to 5 because we do know that it is such an important time in the nervous system development. It is such an important time in being able to anchor those roots. And we specifically chose in anchoring our roots to focus on grandparents. Yeah. We could have focused on our friends, on our neighbors, and we really, really, really wanted to focus on our grandparents. I had the privilege, and still do have the privilege, to be part of an intergenerational household. When I gave birth to my little one, my son received all of the glory of being able to be raised by his grandma.
Wow.
The culture, the food, the warmth. We're a multilingual household. He can now understand the language that we speak. His taste buds, very early on, have been very focused on recognizing that cultural food. So you can imagine, with all that richness, that it made complete sense to be able for us to center that space. And of course, we brought in the element of nature, which is truly our medicine, particularly as a cultural people.
This is fabulous. I mean, you know, right now, as you're talking, I'm thinking about my grandson. And my son lives with my mother. So, and they're just like 3 minutes from me. So I'm always there, right? So he's getting great grandma, grandma, his mom, his dad, his, you know, uncle, my other son, and then what his great uncle, is that my brother, right? So he's getting all of this, you know, connection that's happening at any given point in time in the day. And when you talk about that development and anchoring them in something that is so necessary when we think of cultural tradition, practices, food, smells, right? Like all of that is, you know, sensory. And so it connects them to these things that are beyond them, right?
Absolutely. Whenever we engage into conversations with any family members for that matter, but particularly when I speak at conferences, one of the first items I ask folks to do is to close their eyes and think about their favorite childhood memories. And without fail, it certainly circles around the family, but quality time, not necessarily quantity, but quality time. And for me, it takes me right back to roasting corn, to rice and peas, to being able to have access to guavas and mangoes, but connection to family. I didn't grow up with my grandparents. And so this gift that my son is receiving, this gift that our elders are offering to our little ones is, I always think about our values centered around Sankofa, being able to really have an opportunity to take a step back, to really know their roots before they're being propelled into the future. And that is exactly what we wanted to do. We recognize that as first medicine. There's so many things we can talk about, of course. We can talk about, you know, special supplements and so on and so forth. As far as my concept of healing, that is the first step in being able to get connected with family. That is the very first step in being able to be anchored. So you talked about sensory, smells, hugs, music. Often these are the very first spaces, right? That kiddos, as they remember connecting with their grandparents, remember. I will say that our program, with everything that grandparents are pouring into and great-grandparents are pouring into, really wants to focus on nurturing the grandparents. We want to make sure that as they're giving and pouring, that we also take pause and take hold and say, what do you need? How can we pour into your cup? How can we continue to anchor those very roots that are absolutely there to sprout and to support the generations to come and the descendants?
Yeah.
And so that is one of the focuses that I really wanted to anchor myself around, no pun, is really starting to think about what are services that could be offered that are traditionally aren't. Licensed childcare providers have access to coaches, nurses, and yet our family, friends, and neighbors, our grandparents, may not necessarily have access to these services.
Yeah.
And so when we had the opportunity to partner with a lovely partner, King County Best Start for Kids, we really raised our hand high and said, we'd like to make sure that with the funds provided, we offer a space where our licensed, exempt, close family, friends, and neighbors, in our particular case, grandparents, could receive these services. And that means partnership on a quarterly basis with events, but that also means an opportunity to receive coaching one-on-one. And that could be from, you know, our little ones are starting to teeth. What does it look like? Now, grandparents have not forgotten what it looks like, but the skills, the tools, the conversation, so that they're not going through this alone. That's what I remember partially experiencing as a parent and watching my mom engaging with my little one, where, I mean, obviously, we're going to say, whole hell, Queen Mother. I turned out just fine. And I knew that my son was in great hands. But I can only imagine for our grandparents who may be isolated, particularly as a community, we've really been pushed around. When I think about the I-5 corridor in King County and our Black and Indigenous and Latinx community. And we really wanted to make sure that we created that space of connection. So one-on-one coaching, but then also opportunities for partnerships. And that's the foundation of our program.
So when a grandparent enrolls in the program, they're able to get one-on-one coaching. And you talk about this partnership. Explain a little bit more about what that looks like.
Yes. So on our team, we do have access to actually, we'll have lovely conversations coming up at the end of the month, and I'll touch on this very briefly. Miss Leah Johnson, who is, I always say, semi-retired public health nurse. She's retired and continues to do the most and give back to the community, and we absolutely adore her. And so we have access to public health background. She created Black Infant Health Program, and we have access to a school psychologist that are really able to answer some of these questions that may come up for grandparents. Maybe not necessarily when we're just having a 1 month or 2 month old, but behaviors are starting to look slightly different. There are questions around a 3 or 4 year old. We are having big conversation around access to technology. What does it look like? And we're also having conversations around nature. We live in such a gorgeous environment, and nature looks very different for everyone. We start with, let's just maybe have a plant, to about plant propagation, to let's go ahead and connect you so that you have the opportunity to go in nature, enjoy the rain, enjoy the opportunity to hear the raindrop and really support the kiddos in that sensory environment. And then we dive into learning about herbs and healing herbs. So we go from coaching to education and really being able to bring it all around. Now, our school psychologist, Kat Pavitt-Chapin, is really also focused on neurodivergence, because this is a space that is quite new, particularly for generations that may have not necessarily, one, experienced the terminology, but two, we talked about brain development. They may not necessarily have experienced these big emotions, an opportunity to really provide them some tools around conversations, regulations, some mindfulness for themselves, but also the kiddos in their spaces.
Wow.
And then of course we touch on environmental health, we touch on nutrition, and one may imagine that we are giving menus, and absolutely not. Our very first conversation is, tell us about your cultural foods. What makes your taste buds scintillate? Wow. What are you sharing with the little ones? What do you want to continue sharing with the little ones? And so there's really this partnership where we have an opportunity to learn about each other, to grow with each other. And our program, particularly for childcare providers, around between 6 months to a year. So we do have the opportunity to get to know each other. We do have the opportunity to visit. And we're hosting a few conversations where we'd love to have grandparents in our community, our Black, Indigenous, and Latinx parents join us on November 30th and December 19th from 4 to 5 p.m. And Miss Leah will actually lead our conversations, purely conversational, around nurturing and supporting our grandparents.
Wow. And so now you get to give the folks the information because you've drummed it up for us. And this is such a phenomenal program. Thank you for bringing your expertise into something that is so needed in terms of resources, partnership, and connection for specifically grandparents. I love that now that I'm a new grandparent. But of course, now you get to look right there in the camera, let folks know how they apply. What does that process look like? How do they join these conversations for these next upcoming events?
Yes. So thank you so much. We would like to point you to our website, www.jsolstudios.com. When you get to our website, look at our programs, community-based programs, and click on Anchoring Our Roots. You'll have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about our parents-based programs and more specifically about childcare providers-based program. That is Natured Roots and Sprouting Wellness. There, feel free to register for our program. We are ready. There are absolutely no wait lists. We are ready to welcome you. We also want to point you to our Instagram, anchoring_our_roots, where you then have access to our upcoming conversation on November 30th from 4 to 5 p.m. and December 19th from 4 to 5 p.m. We are ready for you, grandparents. We're going to have conversation around pouring, nurturing you, providing you with tools and skills and connections so that we can first take care of you and you can continue to be centered and supporting our little one. And we thank you. And the month of November is Caregivers Month. So we thank you, grandparents. We thank you, family, friends, and neighbors who are caring for our little one. This is such a special time. We couldn't do it without you, so thank you.
Wow. Dr. Sabine, thank you so much for being here. This was truly so informative. I'm so grateful that you're in our community giving out these amazing resources and connecting with caregivers. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, y'all. What a great start to the week. It always feels so good. We love to give you this inspiration and information. And you know I get to wrap it all up right after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching The Day with Trae.
There's something magical, alchemical about being an artist. Being able to create, mold, envision, enlighten. This is a wonderful task. That's why I do it. My name is Joyce J. Scott, and I'm having my 50-year retrospective walk a mile in my dreams. Come on down.
Disney and Cameron Mackintosh's Mary Poppins comes to life on stage at the Fifth Avenue Theatre, featuring Step in Time and Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Make it a jolly holiday at Mary Poppins. For tickets, visit fifthavenue.org.
Have you heard? Everyone living in Washington State can buy health insurance regardless of immigration status. Call 1-855-923-4633 to find out your option through Washington Health Plan Finder. The call is free, safe, and secure, and getting health insurance will not affect your immigration status. Give us a call today.
Welcome back, everyone, to The Day with Trae. I'm your host, Trae Holiday. I just got to give a huge thank you to Dr. Sabine Thomas for coming here and talking about this definitely needed program in our community, but this connection and this focus on grandparents. As a new grandparent myself, you know, I just think about the ways of me bringing my joy to my son, his girlfriend, and now my grandbaby. And honestly, there is resources out there, but sometimes they're hard to find. So shout out to JSOL Studios for providing something that is very unique in its offering, but also very necessary. If you know of someone out there who is a grandparent, or you yourself are one, and you're looking for some phenomenal resources, make sure you go to their website and sign up for Anchoring Our Roots today. Thanks so much for starting your week off with me on. You know I will be back tomorrow. Until then, at 11 a.m. Peace. Converge Media produces culturally relevant content for Black and urban audiences. Our coverage is raw, transparent, and objective, praised by community leaders, government officials, and residents. Support Converge Media today via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal at Converge Media.